The artist's dilemma. He can but create alone and must have solitude for concentration, focusing and freedom from disturbance, which makes him an alien and must affect his natural relationships, at worst distorting him into an antisocial personality, a monster and a freak incapable of natural relationships, quite often winding up in sadomasochism and tragical self-torture, like a monk stuck in a dead end of exaggerated discipline. But if the artist leaves this perilous self-centeredness, he risks his contact with the muses, his creativeness, his soul, or that is what he thinks. What he must learn is compromise, which always solves all problems, the supreme necessity, for no one can do without love, and no one can do without company. The muses often hide behind your friends and speak through them, and, most important, love is never only for yourself. The glow of love. The glow of love remains and never fails, but keeps on warming our hearts, refilling constantly our energy of fire that seems never to burn out, but on the contrary continue to expand its warm intensity, as if our love just kept on constantly renewing its amazing strength and lasting continuity. Thus keep my verses all the time repeating that same story that seems never to grow old, that love is ever young as long as it remains, and never can get older than its summer freshness, just as long as it just keeps on burning, without ever burning itself out, its glow renewing and continuing to warm our souls, the more our love keeps on consuming us. How can you love me? How can you love me? I am like a satyr beyond recognition, masked, disfigured, and corrupted by a goat's beard, behind which I hide a face completely ruined by old age and many decades of foul living, summing up a despicable failure of a life that never any woman could accept. Thus am I burnt out by a self-consuming fire, shattering persistently my soul and body, with self-torturous, outrageous pain and longing just to be with you, my heart's desire, that I well know I might never reach, since you are all that I am not. And still, my hope keeps me right on that crooked path of blundering and foundering in pursuit of that dream of one day maybe, despite everything, reach any kind of love with you, just you, and never anybody else. Longing. Just let me sleep with you and be with you, adore you and caress you in my dreams, in perfect gentleness and softness, without any humdrum trivial matter to disturb us, only you and me together in a dream that never ends, which I must dream alone without you, calling for you in my desperation of relentless sleeplessness, with only the minutest glimpse of hope of comfort, that I know that you exist and after all may still be faithful to the beauty of this dream we have together, which I pray we one day never shall wake up from any more, since that is all the truth we need to keep on living. This illusion of a love that might be some kind of reality, and in that case so much more important than that cruel reality which keeps us separated. On his illness. When in a crisis situation my health fails me, and I crawl decrepitly on all fours to clean up my devastation, the annihilating horrible reality of my incontinence, I can but cry in misery about how utterly unworthy I am now, an aging clown no longer in control and charge of his own body, may be the beginning of a lifelong downhill degradation and humiliation leading down into some black hole of the final tragedy, the inescapable defeat, the ruin that awaits us all in the conclusive demolition of our life, all that we lived for, our identity and personality, and even all our memories, experience and deserts. But one thing must remain untouched by all this misery, and that is love, of course, untouchable, serene, and incorruptible, which on its own alone shall ever conquer all that ever even tried to bring it down. Just another one. My thoughts are constantly with you, incapable of leaving you, keeping pious company with you as a desired guardian angel of my own construction and imagination, but nevertheless and even more for you the faithfulest protection, replenished with the piety of all my love. Thus keep I burning for you willingly and ardently with all my love, to keep you spiritual company at least in the regretted absence of your presence physical. But something tells me that in love nothing is more important than the piety and faith and will to love, and the ambition never to forsake it. Budding miracles. Do you feel it when I love you? Do you feel my tenderly caressing thoughts, my wishful thinking dreams of total generosity, my universal well-wishing for you, my total honesty in universally wide opening my heart for you, my over-self-indulgent love for only you? Our love is like a flower opening her buds to gradually reveal her secret and undreamt of glories, one by one in careful calculated portions, never to completely bluntly throw it all wide open, but instead to open up forever more and more, and without ever ceasing this expanding process, and to never close it. Thus our love continues an expanding miracle, with no end to its possibilities, its wonders, and its beauty. Journey's end. What does it matter that my journey goes so slow, outrageously fatiguing and annoying, in its horrible monotonous and trying toughness, when, as luck would have it, you are there to think of, who enlightens it, who follows me on my outrageous wanderings, and keeps me on my feet when I should fall, succumb and give up to the pessimism of my misfortune, being constantly with me and in my prayers as my indefatigable guardian angel. You not only keep me going on my feet, but keep me flying in the air above the clouds, to even more ensure my safety and my good arrival in your arms at this precarious journey's end, which is, in fact, the only thing I ever left you for. The Himalayan Symphony. Do you hear the hills resounding with this glory of our symphony of triumph, glorifying all the beauty of the world, of all the freedom of Dame Nature, of our harmony and love? Thus sings my heart for joy, and hovers without bounds among the highest mountains, just to sing the praise of all the beauty of this world, of you, our friendship, and our love. What matters the extremest separation in a case like this, when love just frees itself from all the confines of the world, of all mortality, of matter, space, and time, to just exist in glory, flying clear above all vanity, and gloriously enjoy the highest, purest music, that of perfect silence in eternal stillness. The sublimest music of the soul, transcending heaven and eternity. Riding the whirlwind, my love is flying on wings of fire, never to rest but to always continue, forever ahead to new continents of exploration, a nomad and rover and wanderer, restless incurably like the wild wind, but the freer for being without any bonds, or without any will that in any way can tie her down, since she is only love, and love cannot exist and survive but as free as the whirlwind. And no one can tame love except he who rides any whirlwind, the highest, most difficult and most advanced of all sports, but the only one worth all the painstaking trouble, the ultimate art, which the effort of conquering only is its own reward, and the finest as such in existence. The worst trauma of any journey is usually the cultural shock that awaits you at home. The fugitive's homecoming. What business has the fugitive at home? He cannot be accepted, no one wants him. There is nothing for him to come home to except loneliness and strife, his family ignoring and despising him, the basis of his unacceptability, the ruin he was born to, his unfair predestination to a lifelong punishment of exile, scarring him with unjust stamp of prejudicial doom, for no specific reason other than his personality, that somehow seems too much out of this world, and yet he has to eat and sleep and live and labour somewhere, somehow, and that is his only rescue. He can work. And if that personality is such that all his work can only be creative, all the better, then he will have some support and backbone in eternity, and all he has to do is obstinately to work hard with his creation, and he will be more triumphant after death than any mortal conqueror. The bleeding heart, Mater Dolorosa. There are wounds that never heal, and worst of all are heart wounds, that must bleed forever most profusely, until the frail heart has wasted all and broken up in pieces of her scattered sorrows. Heart wounds do not bleed themselves to death, but rather cry out their indulgent inundation until that poor heart, the tender fountain, is dried out, and cannot keep on crying out the tears of blood, since they have drowned and dried up in her wasting, devastating pain and sorrow. So if you meet with a mother who can shed no tears, forbear with her, because she has been crying all her life, and only tears of blood, and has none left to cry, since she is only waiting for her heart to finally break up in mercy.